Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lighthouse's reading of Palestinian poetry. This event is in honor of Refaat who is a poet, a journalist, and a writer who was unfortunately killed in the Palestinian genocide. We're going to be reading his poem, If I Must Die, and we invite other people to come up and read his poem as well in any languages that you speak, or to come and repeat the poem. And if there's any other poems that you've heard, please come up and read them as well. Yeah, it's a space of remembrance, a space for us to gather, a space for us to share the really moving and incredible art that is still being made even under genocidal attack. So this is Raphael's poem, If I Must Die. If I must die, you must live. To tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite you made flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope, let it be a tale. Thank you.
So we've got translations here in various languages if folk want to read.
Does anybody else want to come up next? Just to warn you, you're going to be on camera as well. So we can also take away the live stream if you don't want to have your face shown. But yeah, invite anybody else to come up. Here's Jane. Perfect.
I'm going to read it in the German translation, which is by a user online called Merlin on a Sunday. Wenn ich sterben muss, musst du leben, um meine Geschichte zu erzählen, um mein Hab und Gut zu verkaufen, um ein Stück Stoff zu besorgen und ein paar Schnüre. Lass es weiß sein und mit einem langen Schweif, sodass ein Kind irgendwo in Gaza, während es dem Paradies ins Auge sieht, auf seinen Vater, der wie ein Blitz verschwand und von niemandem, nicht einmal von sich selbst, den Drachen sieht, meinen Drachen, den du gemacht hast, wie er oben fliegt und für einen Augenblick denkt, dass ein Engel da ist, der die Liebe zurückbringt. Wenn ich sterben muss, lass es Hoffnung bringen. Lass es eine Legende sein. If anyone else wants to read this, copies of the poem there.
This isn't by Refaat, but it's a poem by a Palestinian poet that I saw recently that really stayed with me. Their name is Omar Sakrin, and it's called Clicks in the Genocide. All the images come veiled, the madman's gauze above Gaza, an algorithm's dream of safety. Even the sky has a burial shroud. While killers grin at the cameras, which of us should be covered? I know what a veil means. To bear witness can be an act of love or violence. Click here to make your choice. We're family now, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So it can be any poem that you've seen from a Palestinian poet or a poem about what's going on in Gaza. And we can also take the time to reflect as well. But it's an open mic space. We're here until 1. So if anybody has anything they do want to share, please don't share.
And this is a poem by Jim Jordan. It's apology to the people in Lebanon. Dedicated to the 600,000 Palestinian men, women, and children who lived in Lebanon from 1948 to 1983. I didn't know, and nobody told me. And what could I do or say anyway? They said you shot the London ambassador, and then when that wasn't true, they said, so what? They said you shelled their northern villages, and when UN forces reported that was not true, because your side of the ceasefire was holding since more than a year before, they said, so what? They said they wanted simply to carve a 25-mile buffer zone, and then they ravaged your water supplies, your electricity, your hospitals, your schools, your highways and byways all the way north to Beirut, because they said this was their quest for peace. They blew up your homes and demolished the grocery stores, and blocked the Red Cross and took away doctors to jail, and they cluster bombed girls and boys whose bodies saw purple and black into twice the original size, and tore the buttocks from a 4-month-old baby. And then they said this was brilliant military accomplishment, and this was done. They said, in the name of self-defense, they said that this is the noblest concept of mankind. Isn't that obvious? They said something about never again, and then they made close to 1 million human beings homeless in less than 3 weeks, and they killed or maimed 40,000 of your men and women and your children. But I didn't know, and nobody told me, and what could I do or say anyway? They said they were victims. They said you were Arabs. They called your apartments and gardens guerrilla strongholds. They called the screaming devastation that they created the rubble. Then they told you to leave, didn't they? Didn't you read the leaflets that they dropped from their hotshot fighter jets? They told you to go. 135,000 Palestinians in Beirut. And why didn't you take the hint? Go. There was the Mediterranean. You could walk into the water and stay there. What was the problem? I didn't know, and nobody told me. What could I do or say anyway? Yes, I did know it was the money I earned as a poet that paid for the bombs and the planes and the tanks that they used to massacre your family. But I'm not an evil person. The people of my country are so bad. You can expect but so much from those of us who have to pay taxes and watch American TV. You see my point? I'm sorry. I really am sorry.
I'm going to read a Chinese Mandarin translation of If I Must Die. 如果我必须死，那你一定要活着，去讲我的故事，连卖我留下的物事，然后买一块布和一些绳子，要白色的，拖着一条长尾。这样有个小孩在家沙的什么地方，当他眼睛望着天空，等待他已经在火焰中远去的爸爸，但不曾告别的爸爸时，他会看见这个风筝，看见你替我做的这个风筝，在天上飞。那一刻，他会以为有个天使把爱带回。如果我必须死，要让他带回希望，让他变成一个故事。
This is a poem by Noor Hindi. Fuck your lecture on craft. My people are dying. Colonizers write about flowers. I tell you about children throwing rocks at Israeli tanks seconds before becoming daisies. I want to be like those poets who care about the moon. Palestinians don't see the moon from jail cells and prisons. It's so beautiful, the moon. They're so beautiful, the flowers. I pick flowers for my dead father when I'm sad. He watches Al Jazeera all day. I wish Jessica would stop texting me Happy Ramadan. I know I'm American because when I walk into a room, something dies. Metaphors about death are for poets who think ghosts care about sound. When I die, I promise to haunt you forever. One day, I'll write about the flowers like we own them. I'm just going to read from the end of A Letter from Gaza by Ghassan Kanafani. I went out into the streets of Gaza, streets filled with blinding sunlight. They told me that Nadia had lost her leg when she threw herself on top of her little brothers and sisters to protect them from the bombs and flames that had fastened their falls into the house. Nadia could have saved herself. She could have run away, rescued her leg. But she didn't. Why? No, my friend, I won't come to Sacramento, and I've no regrets. No, and nor will I finish what we began together in childhood. This obscure feeling that you had as you left Gaza, this small feeling must grow into a giant deep within you. It must expand. You must seek it in order to find yourself here among the ugly debris of defeat. I won't come to you, but you return to us. Come back to learn from Nadia's leg, amputated from the top of the thigh, what life is and what existence is worth. Come back, my friend. We are all waiting for you.
Thank you for all the work shared so far. We do have a book of poetry here, called A Blade of Grass. So you're very welcome to come take a look through and see if there's anything that you'd like to read. We have some zines over there with Palestinian poetry. What's the name?
It's Poems from and for Palestine. being published by us.
Amazing. So you have the artwork as your first time, so you're going to come in with you. Raphael's poetry, you have any copies for people to take away or to read in other languages that you do.
the poem called Running Order by Lina Khalaf Tufaha. They call us now before they drop the bombs. The phone rings, and someone who knows my first name calls and says in perfect Arabic, "This is David." And in my stupor of sonic booms and glass-shattering symphonies still smashing around in my head, I think, do I know any Davids in Gaza? They call us now to say, run. You have 58 seconds from the end of this message. Your house is next. They think of it as some kind of wartime courtesy. It doesn't matter that there's nowhere to run to. It means nothing that the borders are closed and your papers are worthless and mark you only for a life sentence in this prison by the sea, and the alleyways are narrow and there are more human lives packed one against the other, more than any other place on earth. Just run. We aren't trying to kill you. It doesn't matter that you can't call us back to tell us the people we claim to want aren't in your house, that there's no one here except you and your children who are cheering for Argentina, sharing the last loaf of bread for this week, counting candles left in case the power goes out. It doesn't matter that you have children. You live in the wrong place, and now is your chance to run. To nowhere. It doesn't matter that 58 seconds isn't long enough to find your wedding album, or your son's favorite blanket, or your daughter's almost completed college application, or your shoes, or to gather everyone in the house. It doesn't matter what you had planned. It doesn't matter who you are. Prove you're human. Prove you stand on two legs. Run.
An incomplete list of unauthorized Palestinians by Russia Abdulhadi. Palestinian pilots, flight attendants, and air traffic controllers. Palestinian real estate agents and elementary school teachers. Palestinian science fiction writers. Palestinian professors of math and chemistry. Palestinian journalists. Palestinian baristas. Palestinian taxi drivers. Palestinian train conductors. Palestinian ticket takers at the movie theater. Palestinian cashiers and car salesmen. Palestinian appliance repairmen. Palestinian lawyers. Palestinian women comedians. Palestinian drag queens and kings. Palestinian editors, bank tellers, and engineers. Palestinian astronauts and astrophysicists. Palestinian bus drivers. Palestinians who don't speak Arabic or English. Palestinians who speak German or Spanish or French. Palestinians with one non-Palestinian parent. Palestinians with one non-Palestinian parent who isn't white. Palestinians with one non-Palestinian parent who is also indigenous. Palestinians who are the children of any of those Palestinians. Palestinian children. Palestinian civilians. Palestinian non-combatants. Palestinian innocents. Palestinians on every continent except Antarctica. Palestinians in Antarctica. Palestinians on the moon, on the sea. Palestinian fishermen pass the blockade line. Palestinian plumbers. Palestinian veterinarians. Palestinian trauma surgeons and trauma therapists. Palestinian rescue workers and medics. Palestinian web designers. Palestinian photographers, Palestinian climate scientists, Palestinian toxicologists, ecologists, and graphic designers. Palestinian pastry chefs and painters, Palestinian contractors and carpenters, as he called them famous, Palestinian shepherds and farmers, Palestinian tailors and fashion designers, Palestinian wedding planners, Palestinian equestrians, Palestinian bodybuilders, Palestinian kickboxers and filmmakers, Palestinian historians and world champions, Palestinian tunnel diggers, Palestinian marching bands, Palestinian flag makers and freedom fighters, Palestinian revolutionaries and race car drivers, Palestinian football players and referees, Palestinian catchers, pitchers, batters, umpires, and outfielders, Palestinian swimmers and distance runners, Palestinian arborists, entomologists, and house mothers, Palestinian nurses, Palestinian blood donors, Palestinian epidemiologists, Palestinian researchers, Palestinian publishers and copy editors, Palestinian knitters, quilters, and crocheters, Palestinian sculptors, Palestinian musicians, Palestinian singers, Palestinian barbers, Palestinian wig makers and hydrologists, Palestinian environmentalists and makeup artists, Palestinian mermaids, Palestinian beekeepers and bird watchers, Palestinian adults, children, and elders.
going to read specific details by her son Maru. Drowning in the time allotted for truce, we manufacture spare hearts in case we lose the hearts each of us has. We're uncertain of life's worth on the slipping edge, yet it seems hope can't be shelled all at once. The minute details of war, poison gas we can't thwart from settling our blood, and can't even grab fear to toss it whole outside our flesh, dear God. Anxieties beat within us is louder than a proximal bomb. But tell me, how will you convince the world that the forest has no drum? Specific details fix our feet in place as the house runs and runs, leaving its stones, its children behind. Body parts, fragments in memory.
I'll read it in French. Si je dois mourir, For Refaat à Marie. Si je dois mourir, tu dois vivre pour raconter mon histoire, pour céder mes biens, pour acheter un bout de tissu et quelques ficelles blancs avec une longue traîne, pour qu'enfant, quelque part à Gaza, au seuil du paradis, attendant son père, trop tôt parti, sans dire au revoir, ni à sa chair, ni à sa personne, lorsqu'il verra un cerf-volant, le mien, conçu par toi, volant dans le ciel, il pensera pour une seconde qu'un ange se manifeste, apportant avec lui l'amour. Si je dois mourir, que ma mort soit la ferme de l'espoir, que ma mort demeure une histoire.
Let me take off by Najran daughter. You take off from the earth, but can't help falling back again. You'll land on your feet or on your face. You'll land. Even if the plane explodes, your pieces, your atoms will still land. You'll nail to it. The earth will soon crust.
A poem for Gaza, a poem for Palestine. Ahmed Amala. Gaza, the last thing you need is a poem. Don't say. I have nothing else to give. A poem is a poem. What can it do? Don't say. But simply be like a poem. You were an open land and your sea was no sight for blood. Yes, once upon a time, you asked nothing of the world and it gave you nothing. Gather our words and toss them into the empty well. Screams don't linger, but they do not disappear. They lodge themselves beyond the ear, and once they begin to haunt, they appear, they reappear. Corrupted by the attempt to apply logic to the wound. We are all talk, no action. We all know that talk is talk. That's why no one listens. Reality wounds can't be mended by thoughts. We all know. Don't keep me in your prayers and please spare me the guilt. Where can the eye rest on the sight? Screaming children. I want my words to spill blood, and when I say that once upon a time, I want you to cringe, because this land has only one name, and its people are only its people. Call them what you may, that doesn't change a thing. They too disappear, and they too will reappear. Once upon a time, Gaza, there was no need for anyone to give you any empty words like this poem. Your only hope is to look us straight in the eye and say once more that you were and are once upon a time.
I'm going to read Younger the War by Musab Abu Toha. On starless night, hands rose through dust, through eggplant fields. Beds are made, lighting in the sky, brother jumps through window to watch warplanes, flying through clouds of smoke after airstrikes. Warplanes that look like eagles searching for a tree branch to perch on. Catch breaths, but these metal eagles are catching souls in blood and bone soul. No need for radio. We are the news. Onsier heard with each bullet fired from grapple machine guns. Soldiers advance, burn books, some smoke, roast cheese yesterday's newspaper, just like they did when they were kids. Our kids hide in the basement, backs against concrete pillars, heads between knees, parents silent. Humid down there and heat of burning bombs adds up to the slow dance of survival. In September 2000, after I had brought bread for dinner, I saw a helicopter firing a rocket into a tower as far from me as my rifle cries. I heard concrete and glass fall from high. Loaves of bread went stale. I was still 7 at the time. I was decades younger than war, a few years older than bombs.
This is We Fear for a Dream by the Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish. We fear for a dream, don't believe our butterflies. Compass of a horse, our need for the north. We have raised the beaks of our soul to you. Give us a grain of wheat, our dream. Give it to us. We have offered you the shores since our coming to the earth, born of an idea or of the adultery of 2 waves on a rock in the sand. Nothing, nothing. We float on a foot of air. The air breaks up within ourselves. We know you have abandoned us, built for us prisons and called them the paradise of oranges. We go on dreaming, oh desired dream. We steal our days from those extolled by our myths. We fear for you, we're afraid of you. We're exposed together, you shouldn't believe our wives' patience. They will weave 2 dresses, then sell the bones of the loved ones to buy a glass of milk for our children. We fear for a dream from him, from ourselves. We go on dreaming, oh dream of ours. Don't believe our butterflies.
I'm going to read If I Must Die in Malayalam. Translation to Malayalam. എന്നെ തേടി മരണമെത്തിയാലും നീ ജീവിക്കണം. എന്റെ കഥ പറയാൻ, എന്റെ നീക്കിയൊരുപ്പുകൾ തുണി വാങ്ങുവാൻ, ആ തൂവെള്ള തുണി കുറച്ച് ചരടുകളും ചേർത്ത് നീ ഒരു പട്ടമുണ്ടാക്കുന്നു. ആരോടും വിട ചെല്ലാതെ സ്വന്തം ദേഹത്തോടൊന്നും പിന്നെയും വിട പറയാതെ എരിഞ്ഞെടുങ്ങിപ്പോയ അച്ഛനെ തിരിഞ്ഞ് സ്വർഗത്തിലേക്ക് നോക്കുന്ന ഒരു കുഞ്ഞ് അത് കാണുവാനൊരു ഇടവരട്ടെ. ഗാസയുടെ ആകാശത്തിലെ എവിടെയോ ആ പട്ടം നീ എനിക്കുണ്ടാക്കിയ നീ എനിക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ എന്റെ പട്ടം കൊണ്ട് ആ ദുരന്ത ഭൂമിയിലേക്ക് സ്നേഹം തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന മാലാഖയെ കാണുന്നത് ഒരു നിമിഷമെങ്കിലും അവൻ കരുതട്ടെ. എന്നെ തേടി മരണമെത്തിയാൽ പ്രത്യാശയുടെ ദിനങ്ങളും ഒപ്പം കടന്നു വരട്ടെ. അതൊരു മുത്തശ്ശി കഥ പോലെ പറഞ്ഞറിയട്ടെ.
It's reaching o'clock, so I'm going to start to close the space. But I want to thank you all for coming and sharing poetry about Palestinians and speaking to you, introducing us to Palestinian poets, and just helping us like facilitate a space of reflection and remembrance and words that will stay with us as we go on to protest, as we go on to organizing spaces, as we go on to tell other people about the genocide in Palestine. I'm going to read Rafaat's poem one more time. If I must die. If I must die, you must live. To tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, sees the kite you made flying up above. Bring it home. Let it be him.
And thank you so much on behalf of Lighthouse for everyone for coming. Thank you to JJ for facilitating this space. I want to just invite you also to an event that's organised by Sumud that we'll be hosting here next Monday, which is a series short talks for Palestine. And the event on Monday is Can Subaltern Grief, Navigating Grief Amid Genocide. So that'll be at 7 p.m. on Monday the 22nd of January. And if you want to leave your name at the door to sign up, you can do that, or you can do it on the website as well. Yeah, thank you for coming.